I'm back. Rudrance for Black and White Network. Well, this is a little bit of a different video off the beaten path as to what we normally would cover. But I think there's enough in this, especially with like Sound of Freedom having come out and some of the things we have covered on our channels across time, like Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns very extensively. But this has got more of an entertainment swing to it, but it's something that everybody's going to have paid attention to, been in tune with, whether you was a fan, whether you weren't a fan. I mean, I think most of us can admit that it seems like when it comes to Michael Jackson, the king of pop, I mean, Elvis and Michael are probably the two biggest, I guess you would say, pop rock stars of all time. Beatles would be another one. But there was a ruling today in court about some of the sexual abuse lawsuit cases. And I was like, wow. One of the things that was said in this was really kind of jarring by, I guess, somebody that used to work for Michael Jackson. And I was like, really? I guess the snippet bothered me. Michael Jackson's sex abuse lawsuits previously dismissed can be revived. Appeals court rules. This is Fox Business. 2 lawsuits accusing Michael Jackson of sexual abuse that were previously dismissed have been revived by a California court of appeals. I'm surprised anything in California would rule in favor of something that could have potentially helped young children at this point. I mean, if I'm being honest, at this point where everybody's gone nuts, especially in places like radical California, it is kind of surprising. On Friday, a 3-judge panel from California's 2nd District Court of Appeal ruled that Wade Robson and James Safechuck's lawsuits can go to trial. Both men, who are also repeated their allegations in the 2019 HBO documentary Finding Neverland, I have not seen that documentary, claimed that the late Billie Jean singer repeatedly abused them when they worked with him as boys. Jackson died in 2009 at 50. The panel found that Robson and Safechuck's lawsuit against Michael Jackson's own corporation, MJJ Productions Incorporated, and MJJ Ventures Incorporated, should not have been dismissed by a lower court judge in 2021. The suits had also been dismissed in 2017 for being beyond the statute of limitations. A new California law that temporarily broadened the scope of sexual abuse cases enabled the appeals courts to restore them. The judge ruled that at the time that the boys working for 2 entities could not expect the same protections required by the Boy Scouts or a church. This sounds crazy. On Friday, the panel ruled a corporation that facilitates sexual abuse of children by one of its employees is not excused from an affirmative duty to protect those children merely because it is solely owned by the perpetrator of the abuse. Right. It had previously ruled that the company, somebody working for him, should not be expected to, I guess, turn on Michael Jackson or turn him in. What? I mean, the right thing to do? Question mark? Of course, you would turn him in. That added, it would be perverse to find no duty based on corporate defendant having only one shareholder, and so we reversed the judgments entered for the corporations. Robson, 40, who met Jackson when he was 5 years old and appeared in 3 of his music videos, claimed the pop star abused him over the period of 7 years. Safechuck, 45, said he met Jackson while filming a commercial when he was 9, and that the pop star began calling him repeatedly and gave him gifts before he started abusing him. Their lawsuits, first brought in 2013 and 2014, years after Jackson had died in June
pretty much anything.
In 2009. Fox News. Jonathan Steinsperf, attorney for Jackson's estate, who argued for the defense in the last case, said it did not make sense to require employees to stop their boss from abuse. What? That's ludicrous to me. That's absolutely insane. Quote, it would require low-level employees to confront their supervisor and call them pedophiles. Okay. He argued, but Holly Boyer, an attorney for Robson and Safechuck, countered that as boys they had been, quote, left alone in a lion's den by the defendant's employees. An affirmative duty to protect and to warn is correct. Steinstaper, that's the strangest looking name ever. Steinstaper also claimed the defense was evidence that hasn't reached trial that the boys' parents were, quote, not looking to Michael Jackson's companies for protection from Michael Jackson. He then told Fox Business in a statement, we were disappointed by the court's decision. Two distinguished trial judges repeatedly dismissed these cases on numerous occasions over the last decade because the law required it. We remain fully confident that Michael is innocent of these allegations, which are contrary to all credible evidence and independent corroboration, which were only first made years after Michael's death by men motivated solely by money. So, I mean, yeah, there is a potential for a money grab here. There could be, sure. We trust that the truth will ultimately prevail with Michael's vindication yet again. Michael Jackson himself said lies run sprints, but truth runs marathons. Vince Finaldi, who represents Robson and Safechuck, called the previous dismissals the incorrect ruling, telling the AP that they were pleased but not surprised by the reversal. He added that the dismissals would have set dangerous precedent that endangered children throughout the state and country. We eagerly look forward to a trial on merits. So it's going to trial, it looks like. In a concurring opinion issued with Friday's decision, one of the panelists, Associate Judge John Shepard Wiley Jr., wrote that, quote, to treat Jackson's wholly owned instruments as different from Jackson himself is to be mesmerized by abstractions. This is not an alter ego case. This is a same ego case. An upcoming trial in Los Angeles will rule on the validity of the allegations themselves. Jackson was acquitted of sexual abuse charges in a separate trial involving a different accuser in 2005. So, wow. That's pretty wild. They just came back and said, look, you worked for Michael Jackson. You worked as employees. You may have potentially knew something was going on there, and you decided to not potentially stop something sinister from happening. And they originally said, no, the employees didn't have any obligation to do that, which seems absurd to me that you would not believe that any human, if they had awareness of such activities going on, yeah, would have an obligation to say, whether it's Michael Jackson or somebody else, he's doing some sinister things. We need to tell somebody. Tell the parents. Whatever. Call the cops. Whatever you got to do. I mean, put a note on a dove and send it to somebody that can actually get it and do something about it. It doesn't mean it has to look like it's coming directly from you. Anonymously, anything to try to potentially protect a couple of children. I mean, look, and at the same time, Michael Jackson may be completely innocent here, but the idea that there wasn't responsibility by the people that worked for him to protect a couple of children, I'm at a point where I'm baffled by the fact that people want to dodge the idea of trying to watch out for some kids' backs. That should just be the right thing to do, right? He was a grown-ass man. They were very young children. Never mind the parents involved here. I still have never quite understood. I don't care if it was Michael Jackson. Why would you let your kids hang out with a grown-ass man like that? Just hanging out, doing whatever. I get it. Oh, my God, Michael Jackson wants to spend time. Maybe they were around him a whole bunch, and somehow Michael gained their trust. I just don't know how that could be. Yeah, my kids go and work for a guy in some commercials. Guy wants to have my kids over to hang out. And just my kids. No, that doesn't pass the sniff test for me. It doesn't. You know, that was a working relationship. You're good, homie. Stay over there. Tell me what you think. Black and White Network supporters, yeah, a different kind of video, but I was like, oh, this could get very interesting because if they go to trial, I don't know how public this is going to get, but you would assume it will be pretty public, you know? So it's like, what is going to come out of that? And I haven't seen the documentary. I heard it's pretty damn bad, as in some kind of vile shit comes out of it. I know just a couple of the jokes that Dave Chappelle made about it was like, whoa, God. I mean, you know, with Chappelle, you expect no holds barred, but still, he gave you some insight into what that documentary kind of came out with. Yikes. Tell me what you think. Black and White Network supporters, peace. I'm out. Till next time.